Have you ever noticed how some people in their 70s and 80s seem to have boundless energy, sharp minds, and genuine joy for life, while others struggle with health issues and declining vitality? What's their secret? Is it just good genes, or is there something these vibrant seniors are doing differently? Welcome to SolidSeniors, where today we're diving into what I call the 80-20 rule for longevity. This simple principle suggests that roughly 80% of your health outcomes after 65 come from just 20% of your daily habits. In other words, a few key practices make all the difference between thriving and merely surviving in your golden years. Before we begin, if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos that could help you live your best life. And if you enjoy this video, please type "solid" in the comments. If not, type "liquid" to let me know how I can make better content for you. Now, let's talk about what truly matters for longevity. I've spent years researching and interviewing hundreds of vibrant seniors in their 80s and 90s, and I've discovered 5 critical differences in how the healthiest seniors approach their daily lives. These aren't complicated medical interventions or expensive treatments, they're simple, practical habits anyone can adopt. The first game-changing habit healthy seniors practice is what I call purposeful movement. Notice I didn't say exercise or working out. That's because the healthiest seniors don't necessarily spend hours at the gym. Instead, they incorporate natural, functional movement throughout their day. Take my friend Eleanor, who just celebrated her 87th birthday. She doesn't own exercise equipment or have a gym membership. Instead, she gardens for 30 minutes each morning, walks to the local market instead of driving, and does gentle stretching while watching her favorite evening shows. She moves with purpose, not out of obligation. Research from the Blue Zones, regions where people routinely live past 100, confirms this approach. The longest-lived people don't exercise, in our modern sense. They simply live in environments that naturally require movement. They walk to visit friends, tend gardens, and prepare meals from scratch. The key difference is consistency over intensity. Rather than exhausting themselves with strenuous workouts twice a week, healthy seniors move moderately every single day. This gentle, consistent approach maintains muscle mass, supports cardiovascular health, and, perhaps most importantly, preserves joint function without causing inflammation or injury. Try incorporating purposeful movement by finding activities you genuinely enjoy. Maybe it's dancing in your living room, walking with a friend, or even seated exercises if mobility is limited. The goal isn't to break records but to make movement a natural, enjoyable part of each day. The second vital practice of thriving seniors is what I call selective socialization. This might surprise you, but the healthiest older adults aren't necessarily social butterflies with packed calendars. Instead, they're intentional about their social connections. My neighbor Walter, a sharp and energetic 92-year-old, told me something profound. At my age, I don't have time for shallow relationships or obligatory gatherings. I focus on the people who truly matter. Walter maintains deep connections with a small circle of friends and family members. They meet regularly for coffee, phone calls, or simple visits. These aren't just casual acquaintances but meaningful relationships that provide emotional support, intellectual stimulation, and genuine joy. Research backs this approach. Studies show that the quality of your social connections matters far more than the quantity. Having just 1 or 2 close confidants can provide greater health benefits than a dozen casual friendships. Meaningful social connections reduce stress hormones, strengthen immune function, and even protect cognitive health. Many seniors make the mistake of isolating themselves or, conversely, filling their calendars with superficial social events out of fear of loneliness. The healthiest seniors, however, find that middle ground, cultivating deep, meaningful relationships while being comfortable with occasional solitude. Consider evaluating your own social circle. Which relationships truly nourish you? Which ones drain your energy? Can you invest more in the connections that matter most while gracefully stepping back from those that don't serve your well-being? Now, as we transition to our third key habit, I want to emphasize that these practices work together synergistically. The healthiest seniors don't just do one thing right, they integrate these habits into a lifestyle that supports longevity naturally and joyfully. The third critical difference in how healthy seniors approach life is their relationship with nutrition. I call this practice intuitive nourishment rather than dieting or meal planning. The longest-lived seniors rarely count calories or follow strict dietary regimes. Instead, they've developed an intuitive approach to eating that naturally supports their health. The healthiest seniors I've met approach food with wisdom rather than rigid rules. They understand that nourishment goes beyond nutrients, it encompasses enjoyment, tradition, and connection. They typically eat moderate portions of mostly plant-based foods, with occasional indulgences without guilt. My friend Josephine, who recently turned 89 with the vitality of someone decades younger, grows many of her own vegetables in a small garden. "I eat what grows naturally in each season," she told me. "My body seems to know what it needs." Her meals are colorful, varied, and rarely processed. She enjoys cooking traditional recipes passed down through generations but has adapted them to be lighter and more vegetable-forward. This intuitive approach aligns perfectly with research on longevity diets. Studies of centenarians worldwide reveal they typically consume diets rich in vegetables, legumes, and whole grains, with moderate amounts of fish, minimal meat, and natural fats like olive oil. They rarely eat processed foods with artificial ingredients or added sugars. But here's what's fascinating: these long-lived individuals don't view their eating habits as restrictive. Food remains a source of pleasure and often a social activity. They might enjoy a glass of wine with dinner or a small piece of dark chocolate without anxiety. The key difference is their natural moderation and connection to what they eat. Consider how you might shift toward more intuitive nourishment. Could you incorporate more colorful vegetables into your meals? Might you rediscover the joy of preparing simple, fresh foods rather than relying on convenience items? Could you eat more mindfully, savoring each bite rather than rushing through meals? The fourth critical practice that sets thriving seniors apart is what I call stress resilience. Notice I didn't say stress avoidance, because life inevitably brings challenges at any age. The difference is how the healthiest seniors respond to stress. Take Harold, an 84-year-old former teacher who radiates calm wisdom. When I asked about his approach to life's difficulties, he shared, "I've learned to distinguish between what I can change and what I must accept. For the things I can change, I take action. For the rest, I practice letting go." This wisdom reflects a profound emotional intelligence that develops with age, if we allow it. The healthiest seniors have cultivated specific mental habits that build resilience. First, they practice perspective-taking. When facing a problem, they ask, "Will this matter in a month? A year? 5 years?" This simple question helps distinguish between minor annoyances and truly significant concerns. Second, they've developed personalized relaxation techniques that work for them. For some, it's a daily meditation practice. For others, it might be gardening, playing an instrument, or simply sitting quietly with a cup of tea. These aren't luxury activities but essential practices for maintaining emotional balance. Third, they've learned to process emotions rather than suppressing them. They acknowledge feelings of sadness, frustration, or grief, understanding that emotional awareness actually accelerates healing. Research confirms the profound impact of stress resilience on longevity. Chronic stress accelerates cellular aging, weakens immune function, and contributes to inflammation, a root cause of many age-related diseases. By developing emotional regulation skills, seniors can literally slow the aging process at a cellular level. Consider your own approach to stress. Do you have reliable techniques to restore calm when life becomes challenging? Have you practiced distinguishing between problems that require action and those that simply require acceptance? These skills become increasingly valuable with age. The fifth and perhaps most powerful difference in how the healthiest seniors approach life is what I call purpose beyond self. The most vibrant older adults maintain a sense of meaning that extends beyond their own needs and comforts. Clara, a 91-year-old volunteer at a local hospital, told me, having somewhere to go, someone expecting me, and something meaningful to contribute, that's what gets me out of bed with energy each morning. Despite arthritis that makes walking painful at times, she rarely misses her twice-weekly volunteer shifts. This sense of purpose takes countless forms. For some, it's volunteering or community service. For others, it's mentoring younger generations, creating art, or advocating for causes they believe in. The common thread is contribution, using their unique gifts, experiences, and wisdom to benefit others. The research on this is compelling. Studies show that seniors with a strong sense of purpose have lower rates of cognitive decline, better cardiovascular health, and even live longer than those who lack clear meaning in their lives. One study found that seniors with high purpose scores were 2.4 times less likely to develop Alzheimer's disease. Purpose creates what psychologists call healthy stress, the kind that motivates and energizes rather than depletes. It provides structure, social connection, and cognitive stimulation, all critical factors for healthy aging. But perhaps most importantly, purpose cultivates a forward-looking perspective. Instead of dwelling on losses or limitations, purpose-driven seniors focus on what they can still contribute. This subtle shift in mindset transforms the experience of aging from one of decline to one of continued growth and meaning. Consider what gives your life meaning beyond your own comfort and needs. What unique gifts, experiences, or wisdom might you share? How might you contribute to your family, community, or a cause you care about? The answer doesn't need to be grand or time-consuming. Even small contributions can provide significant purpose. These 5 practices, purposeful movement, selective socialization, intuitive nourishment, stress resilience, and purpose beyond self, form the critical 20% that determines 80% of health outcomes after 65. They work synergistically, each supporting and enhancing the others. What's remarkable is how these practices create an upward spiral. When you move regularly, you have more energy for social connections. When you nourish yourself well, you have greater emotional resilience. When you have purpose, you're motivated to take better care of your health. Each positive choice reinforces the others. Now, let's explore how to practically implement these 5 key practices into your daily life, regardless of your current health status or circumstances. The beauty of the 80-20 rule is that small, consistent changes can yield tremendous results. You don't need to overhaul your entire lifestyle overnight. Instead, consider making one small shift in each area, allowing these changes to build momentum naturally. For purposeful movement, start where you are. If you're currently sedentary, even 5 minutes of gentle stretching each morning can begin shifting your relationship with movement. The key is consistency rather than intensity. Perhaps set a simple goal of standing up and moving for 5 minutes every hour during waking hours. Margaret, who recently turned 78, began her movement journey after a hip replacement left her fearful of exercise. She started with seated movements while watching television, simple arm circles, ankle rotations, and gentle stretches. Within months, she progressed to short walks around her neighborhood. Now, 2 years later, she walks 3 miles daily and has joined a senior dance class. "I never thought I'd be more active at 78 than I was at 68, she told me, but starting small made it possible. For selective socialization, quality truly trumps quantity. Consider scheduling regular connection time with the people who matter most to you. This might be a weekly phone call with a dear friend, a monthly lunch date with a family member, or joining a small group with shared interests. Richard, a 73-year-old widower, initially withdrew from social life after losing his wife. I didn't see the point anymore, he admitted. But after joining a twice-weekly chess club at his local community center, he found renewed purpose in these connections. We talk about more than just chess, he explained. These men have become my brothers. We support each other through health challenges, celebrate grandchildren's achievements, and simply enjoy each other's company. The key is finding connections that feel genuinely nourishing rather than obligatory. Pay attention to how you feel after spending time with different people. Do you feel energized or depleted? Uplifted or drained? Let these feelings guide your social choices. For intuitive nourishment, consider adopting what I call the add, don't subtract approach. Instead of focusing on eliminating foods, concentrate on adding more nutrient-dense options to your meals. Perhaps commit to including one additional vegetable with dinner or adding a piece of fresh fruit to your breakfast routine. Dorothy, an 82-year-old with a lifelong sweet tooth, found that strict diets always backfired. Instead, she began adding a colorful salad before her regular dinner. I noticed that when I started with fresh vegetables, I naturally ate less of the heavier foods afterward. My taste buds actually changed over time, and now I crave those fresh flavors. Consider also the context of your meals. The healthiest seniors rarely eat alone if they can help it. They make meals a social occasion when possible, eating mindfully and without distractions like television. This simple shift, paying full attention to your food, can transform your relationship with eating. For stress resilience, develop a personal, emotional first aid kit, specific practices you can turn to when feeling overwhelmed. This might include deep breathing exercises, a calming playlist, a particular walking route, or even a mantra that helps you regain perspective. Frank, a 76-year-old retired executive who struggled with anxiety throughout his career, discovered meditation in his late 60s. I wish I'd found this decades ago, he told me. Just 10 minutes of focused breathing each morning has changed how I respond to everything. He keeps a note in his wallet with a simple reminder, this too shall pass. This perspective helps him navigate challenges with greater equanimity. Remember that emotional resilience is a skill that can be developed at any age. Our brains remain remarkably adaptable throughout life, capable of forming new neural pathways that support emotional regulation. For purpose beyond self, reflect on what has given your life meaning throughout different chapters. What values have guided your choices? What contributions have brought you the greatest satisfaction? These reflections can point toward purposeful activities that align with your authentic self. Esther, a 79-year-old former nurse, found renewed purpose by volunteering at a crisis text line, providing emotional support to people in distress. My body can't handle hospital shifts anymore, but my listening skills and compassion are stronger than ever, she shared. Knowing I've helped someone through their darkest moment gives me profound satisfaction. Your purpose doesn't need to be dramatic or time-consuming. It might be tending a community garden, reading to children at a local library, or simply being the person in your family who remembers and celebrates important milestones. What matters is the sense that your presence and contributions make a difference. As you implement these practices, remember that consistency trumps perfection. The healthiest seniors aren't those who never slip up or face setbacks. They're the ones who gently return to these core habits again and again, viewing each day as a fresh opportunity to choose vitality. They also understand that these 5 practices aren't separate categories but an integrated approach to living well. Movement supports stress resilience. Purpose facilitates meaningful social connections. Nourishing food provides energy for purposeful activities. Each element reinforces the others in a beautiful cycle of well-being. Perhaps most importantly, the healthiest seniors maintain a growth mindset regardless of age. They remain curious, open to new experiences, and willing to adapt their habits as their bodies and circumstances change. They view aging not as a period of inevitable decline but as a unique stage of life with its own gifts and opportunities. This perspective itself may be the most powerful predictor of longevity. Research consistently shows that positive attitudes toward aging can add years to life. One landmark study found that people with positive perceptions of aging lived an average of 7.5 years longer than those with negative views, a greater impact than not smoking or maintaining healthy blood pressure. As we conclude, I want to emphasize that it's never too late to adopt these practices. Your body and mind remain remarkably responsive to positive changes at any age. Even small shifts in how you move, connect, eat, manage stress, and find purpose can yield significant benefits within weeks or months. Remember, the 80-20 rule means you don't have to do everything perfectly. Focus on the vital few habits that yield the greatest results, and approach them with self-compassion and consistency rather than rigid perfectionism. What stood out to you the most from these 5 key practices? Which one do you feel you can embrace moving forward? We'd love to hear from you, so leave a comment below sharing one thing you learned today and how you plan to bring it into practice in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and remember, the choices you make today are creating your tomorrow. Here's to living your best life at any age.